You couldn't really get away with naming a bike Enduro in 2020, but Specialized has been grandfathered in on this one. The 20-year-old model has a longer history in mountain biking than the race discipline does, but you could say it was getting a little stale. You could not say that about the new Enduro. We brought it to Park City, Utah to see if it still deserves its name.
I think we all thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I loved it. And I was surprised. When I first saw the bike, I looked at it and said, that looks amazing. It looks beautiful, but that could be just a second bike. You know, it didn't look like it could be an all-day bike. And when I started pedaling on it, I was blown away.
Yeah, you look at it and it's got this like beefy down tube and this beefy bottom bracket and the shock's real low and it's got all this mass down low and you're thinking like, how is this gonna make it up a hill? But it was like so surprising how well it did.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Actually, you know, and like it's iterated off the new demo, right? So you're like, this is gonna be a mini downhill bike.
It's got downhill styling, yeah.
Yeah, and of course it's not gonna climb well. But it's funny because like they actually, when they were designing the demo, and they were redesigning, you know, because they just came out with a new one. And when they were redesigning that, they were after a certain axle path and they kind of stumbled upon excellent pedaling characteristics and like, whoa.
I mean, it was shocking. Yeah.
And they're like, this would be a great platform for the Enduro, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I was blown away by how well the thing climbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was riding it with Anthony the other day and I kept saying like, I keep making a note to like lock out the suspension and then I kept forgetting and then I just kept not being a big deal. And so I rode it like fully open for our whole test lap and it was awesome the whole way.
Which is like actually pretty huge because that's really
been
possible
never the case,
on any Specialized ever made, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's an FSR.
Any ever made.
It's maybe like a short travel camber or something like that. Yeah. Epic has the brain, whatever, you know. But like, you've never been able to climb an Enduro or a Stumpy like this before.
No.
Yeah, but then you get to the down.
Then you get to the down,
and it does how it looks. You know? It's just.
Was it you who said it was like cheating? It was like it was not fair.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's a fully different course. Like I've been riding this course a bunch of times on a bunch of bikes, and then I got on the Enduro, and I'm like, easy. Everything looked easy.
And I mean, it wasn't this big, gushy, kind of vague feeling.
Yeah, it's not numb.
Yeah, it was really like in that mid-stroke supportive. The big hits came, it took them, but it really felt like you had a platform to push off of, and you could pop, you could bunny hop. It cornered amazing. I mean, it was just, it really blew me away on the downs.
So one thing I have to note is that as a small rider, it was really hard for me to get the rebound to go fast enough. We fiddled with it a lot. I was actually running 5 PSI under the recommended minimum, and it was a cold day, so the oil was probably moving pretty slow, but that's worth noting for these smaller riders. Like, it's a little
on
hard.
The S2 size, the smallest size they make?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer too because like you weren't able to feel the same level of like pop,
right?
Which is crazy. Like this bike for us anyway, like you can dip it into corners and it feels like it has the pop of a short travel bike.
Absolutely.
But then it has like the brawl of a long travel bike. So it's like the best of both worlds, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Which makes it feels lively.
And I got like the brawl and the butter, but not necessarily that like poppy, like, that thing.
We got that thing.
But yeah, I think there's some tweaks we could have made. Like we talked about running a lighter oil to get that same feel. And I think that could be possible. It just might take a little more wrangling if you're, 120 pounds-ish.
Yeah, there are people out there who can, tune the suspension appropriately, but it would be nice to be able to get a lighter tune. Maybe just for the smaller sizes or even for the whole package.
Right.
For a bike whose name is racing, we did not expect it to have a lighter side. I mean, you see the professionals whipping big travel 29ers around like BMX bike, but that's what professional speed looks like. You know there's something special when a bike this capable is also this manageable. And that means climbing too.
I mean, the takeaway for me on this bike is, like I said, when I looked at it, I didn't think it could be an all-day bike. But, it comes with the SWAT. You can put stuff in the down tube. And I just see it as a machine you can ride to the top of a super gnarly downhill, and you can drop in like you're dropping into a downhill trail, like no pack, no nothing. You're just there to ride it like you would be riding a trail in the bike park, And it's like, but you're not totally out there with no tube, tools, all the stuff you need, right? So I don't know, it's a really interesting package. I haven't been wowed by a bike like this in a long time.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to go like this fast without as much effort, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's great under braking. It's like, it seems like it's just great in all circumstances.
Absolutely.
I don't really have that many negative things to say about it. I even really like the cable routing, super sweet. How it like both cables go off to the one side and then like pop out down by the bottom bracket and go back in.
Yeah.
It stays. It's beautiful.
I mean, worth the wait, I'd say.
I'd say worth the wait for
I
sure.
mean, I think we all talked about that feeling when you get on like a really buttoned up bike like this, where your mind just kind of goes quiet. Like you see these things in the trail, and it's not like this hectic, like I got to react to that, and you start to realize, oh, maybe it's not always me. Maybe sometimes it is the bike, because the bike, when it handles as well as this one does, it makes things easier.
It's true. Yeah, like it almost slows things down.
Well, while you're going faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't really talked about any of the geo numbers, but like, you know, it's just worth noting real quick that it's got like a nice modern geo. It's got a pretty steep seat angle. It's got, you know, they've lengthened it quite a bit, right? So like, and Specialized has tended to be a little bit conservative outside their like Evo bikes, you know?
Yeah.
But this is, you can consider this like Evo style, right? Like it's got a nice long reach for every size. And they've changed kind of the sizing, the way that they size these. It's like S2, S3, S4, S5. And it's more referencing the length, right? Like that's what we all think is important anyway. Like the length of the, you know, seat tube doesn't really matter that much anymore. So it's more about the reach anyway. That's kind of what this like S sizing is doing.
And I would note that like getting on at the reach felt really natural. You know, it didn't feel like you were stretched out or like it was getting away from you. It just felt like you were like in the right place, really centered and like on the bike.
Yeah, it's not plowy.
No.
Yeah. And yeah, both up and down. I mean, you just really felt centered on the bike, and particularly on the downs. I just felt really balanced and just really able to react and attack anything that came at me on the trail.
Yeah. Pretty special bike.
Absolutely.
We lost track of how often we said blown away when talking about this bike. It's more capable, more responsive, and somehow more practical than we could have ever dreamed. Who'd have thought that an experiment in DH linkage development would inspire one of the best trail bikes we've ever seen? We were blown away. There's a full written review and the rest of the Bible videos at bikemag.com.